Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Tuesday. I hope everyone can hear me very well. I believe that you can hear me. I believe that you can hear me. I hope that you can. Happy Tuesday. I just want to say happy Tuesday to you all. And before I go any further, I want to play my theme song. I do this every Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're not following Madam President on all social media platforms, you should be. I was just in my praise and worship this morning. Um, all right, so I got that out the way. I wanted to play the theme song. I had 17 million tabs open this morning. It is almost insane. But in the midst of all of that, I had my praise and worship going because I don't know, I just felt the need to have some sense of centered serenity. I don't know if you all feel the atmosphere of the world, but when things are happening in the world, I don't know. I know everybody isn't spiritual. I know a lot of my people be off on vibes. And I know that some of you all, you go to the gym, but you're not healthy. I know that some of you all, you have a good diet, but you don't have a good spirit. I know that for a fact because of, how the world works. I'm not trying to give you a hard time. But I know that. So for my people that are intuitive on the inside, I know that you notice the shift that's happening in the world. And the shift that's happening in the world it's universal. The chaos. So when you have a economic chaos, there's chaos everywhere. Sometimes there's chaos in the household. Sometimes there's chaos in the streets. You start driving, you see just chaos, people driving crazy. This the frequency. I ain't gonna be deep. I promise you. I'm not gonna be deep. I don't want to be deep. Also, too, whenever I sit this way, the light is behind me. So it's not really good. It's not perfect for my picture. Hold on, let me see. If I turn it around, I'm a little better. You can see me a little bit better when I turn it this way. Okay, I'm going to turn this way. Sorry, I have to turn you with me, and it is not perfect, but it's not always perfect, but it is what it is. So I'll turn you this way, and hopefully you could see me better. I'm coming back. Sorry, I'm coming back. I promise. I just needed to fix this really quickly. Okay. I think you all can see me better when I turn it like this versus when the light is behind me. I'm sorry. My eyes are just from the pollen. Um, I need new glasses too. My anyways, thank you for bearing with me. I I just would like to say thank you so much for your patience this morning. First and foremost, I really appreciate that. Okay. Um, So I'm in a good place. I'm in a better lighting situation. When the light is behind me, you can't really see it. It feels very much distorted, pixelated. So now that the light is this way, we can see one another better, hear all those good things. So before I go any further, let me say a quick prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for blessing us with the ability to be a part of this side of the earth. Thank you so much for being our power source to all of our needs. In your name, we pray. Amen. I saw two articles um, that I wanted to share with you, two things that I saw online. I saw three, but I don't think we have time for three. But I wanted to share this one particular thing and also share with you Carmelo Anthony, the teen that was charged with the um, fatal stabbing of another teenager, has been released out on bond as of yesterday. And I wanted you to see this with your own eyes. And I want you to see this reporter. She's a white woman. She's chasing him down quicker and faster than, an NFL player trying to get to the finish line to get some kind of response from him and his family. But of course, I'm so glad that, he just knew to be quiet. His family knew what to expect. And the case has so much attention. This is one of the reasons I wanted you all to take a look, because this is going to be really, I want you all to take a look. Take a look right here.
We're up. We're up. We're up. We're up.
Carmelo, do you have anything that you'd like to say? Carmelo, do you have anything that you'd like to say to the victim, to the family of the victim? Why were you armed? Carmelo, why were you armed at school? Explain your self-defense. How is this self-defense?
Excuse me.
No, you like to say?
I had the crowd.
As a media correspondent, I know that she's doing her job, but she didn't read the room like some of the other reporters. They stayed back. They tried to keep the distance because obviously he is still a teenager. This is not a 30-year-old man who's on trial. This is a teenager. So trying to develop some form of normalcy, trying to get him back into some kind of normal life, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. If I was on his legal team, which I could never until, obviously I go to law school and pass the bar. But if I was on his legal team, he has to go ghost. He has to become a ghost. You don't get a chance to, give anyone any narrative. No, you have a trial to prepare for, and you no longer get the opportunity to, have friends and engage with friends. You just don't have access to that until you go to trial. This is I don't think that this will be an easy case because the case has gained national attention. So when I think about the jury selection, that means that they're trying to select people in the county, in the area, but they're going to possibly have to go further out because this has been a national discussed case. So, which means if you go further out, right? This is a young man. You go further out, you find that you have nothing but older people further out. The further you go, you have an older community. What you saw with Trayvon Martin's case is, it is easy to vilify young Black men. That's just easy. It's easy to do. It's easy to vilify young Black men. In fact, because of the historical imaging of Black folks, I personally do not believe there should be any case where Black people have to show themselves, or white folks. I feel like our judicial system is inherently biased and incapable of being fair. Therefore, every case should be a John and a Jane Doe. There should be take away the gender bias, take away race bias, take away economic bias, take away all of those things that create the propaganda of what people are. Take it away. Just remove it in the judicial system. We have a very unfair system in the first place. And speaking of unfair, I want to share this story with you. This is one of the reasons I wanted to share this, because I wanted to inform you all of a story. Hold on one second. Let me pull it up. I'm about to share this story with you. All right. Let me share this story. If you could see this story, just put, you can see it in someone.
Sentenced to life for a crime they didn't commit. I know it sounds crazy, but this really happened in Virginia in 1998. There was an officer that was killed. These two men were arrested in the vicinity. They do not fit the description. There's plenty of exculpatory evidence to prove they didn't do it. A jury found them not guilty, and the judge still sentenced them to life in prison. Now, I'm not going to go through all the details because that's not what this video is about. This video is about how you can now help. If you want the full story, you can go to the Instagram page, Not Guilty Serving Life, tells the whole story there. The update to this case is that after 27 years, their sentence was finally commuted by then President Joe Biden on January 17th, 2025. And one of the men has already walked free from prison after 27 years. That's Terrence Richardson. The other man, Ferone Claiborne, we are waiting for his release, but it is coming very soon. As you can imagine, coming out of prison after 27 years, these men have a lot of obstacles to overcome. One of them being the financial burden of figuring out how to reintegrate into society. I would like to help them with that. Friends and family have set up a GoFundMe for them. Here it is. If you go here and click here, it'll take you to the GoFundMe. Their goal is $50K. That's going to be split amongst both men once they're both free. I say we can surpass that goal. If you can't give anything, share this video. And if you can give anything, anything helps. I want to send some heartfelt love to Terrence Richardson and Ferone Claiborne. I first shared their story 3 years ago on my page. And to see them walk free now is a great feeling. But to know that they spent 27 years in prison for a crime they didn't commit still breaks my soul. And while we can't change the past, we can help them now with their future. Thank you all.
All right. So
these two men were found not guilty by a jury, but still sentenced to life.
Okay, there's another video to this story that I want you all to take a look at, because the other video explains a little bit more in detail of what transpired. Like, how did they get life in prison? They should have never received life in prison. The process is that you get due process. That means that no matter who you are, you have a day in court. And behind that, if you go to trial or if you take a plea, you have the process in which you are innocent until proven guilty. However, when you are Black, you are always guilty. You're guilty. Whatever the crime is, you're guilty. You have to prove your innocence. And this is one of the reasons that the judicial system has an inherited bias, and it's not consistently fair. There was a woman that I remember reading. She was like this attorney, but she had this saying that I resonated with so much. And the saying was, there is no such thing as justice. There is no equal repayment to wrongdoing. We don't have the same, we don't experience pain the same. So, an eye for an eye don't always work. This is why our judicial system fails us frequently, especially in spaces like this. This is why our judicial system should not be for profit. When you have buildings that you are creating that you just need to put people in beds so that you can fund a private proprietary lifestyle, that is not a good foundation to have a good due process. It's not a good premise, for people to literally, the jails, the prisons are being built. Somebody will fill them. That's what everybody has to remember and keep in mind, that no matter what, somebody will. So I'm pulling up the other video where, they're the brother he's literally telling what happened, what transpired. Stay right here 1 second. I'm pulling it up right now. Thank you for your patience. I know that sometimes these videos are like right here and sometimes they are not. All right, here it is right here. I'm pulling it up so that you could see it. There's something else that just happened. Pastor Philip with the church 2819. He just recently got a video talking about.
So back in 1998 in Waverly, Virginia, a police officer was gunned down and killed. A few days later, they accused Ferron and Terrence of killing police officer Gibson. Now, there was zero evidence whatsoever placing those two men at that scene, and the only eyewitness that they had was a convicted felon who was on record stating that he didn't know anything about the crime. But their lawyers at the time persuaded them into taking a plea deal because if they went to trial, they said that they possibly could be facing the death penalty. Terrence and Ferron, knowing that they didn't have the funds to fight this case properly, took that plea deal. Terrence took on involuntary manslaughter, which after some time he was released. Ferron took on accessory after the fact, which is actually a misdemeanor, and he was actually released that same day. Even though they claim that they were innocent, they played the game of the system and were lucky enough to make their way out. The family of Officer Gibson were not happy with that justice, so they pushed for a federal trial. And in 2000, the feds arrested Terrence and Ferron, this time for the murder of Officer Gibson, but they tacked on conspiracy to sell crack cocaine. Okay. At the federal trial, prosecutors tried to make up a story stating that Ferron and Terrence were some crack kingpins and it was a crack deal gone bad, and that's why they killed Officer Gibson. What? In addition to all of that, the witnesses that the feds brought in to testify were all convicted prisoners with something to gain from testifying against these men. In addition to all of that, they didn't even fit the suspect description. Officer Gibson's last words to the officer that showed up on scene first was that they had dreadlocks and one of them had a ponytail. Where are the dreadlocks and ponytail? After all of that, they were found not guilty for the murder of Officer Gibson, but they were found guilty for the conspiracy to distribute crack. At the time of sentencing, even though Terrence and Ferron were acquitted of murder, the judge enhanced their sentence based off of the charges and the plea deals they took at the state level to give them life in prison for a crime that they were acquitted of. Oh my God. This is a huge injustice on 3 levels for Terrence, Ferron, and the family of Officer Gibson. Because while these 2 men are in prison for a crime they didn't commit, they have not found the real killer of Officer Gibson whatsoever. Now, the law offices of Jared Adams, who's representing Terrence and Ferron, have filed an innocence petition to get these men released, but they need the public's help. So here's what we can do. In my bio, there's going to be 2 links for these men. One is going to be the change.org petition for people to go and sign there. Once you sign, share it with others so they can go and sign also. The second and most important link is going to take you to a generated message that needs to be sent to the Attorney General Mark Herring's office. All you have to do is type your name at the bottom, click on auto-generate email, and have that sent over so that can apply some pressure on him to do the right thing and get in on the efforts in releasing these men. Stay woke! Shit's getting weird, part infinity. All right, we're going to...
Okay. Can you imagine? Listen to me. Can you imagine? Can you imagine having a jury acquit you of all charges? Could you imagine a jury saying, you're not guilty? We heard the defense. You're not guilty. Could you imagine a jury saying, no, we don't consider you to be guilty? Could you imagine that behind the jury? I hear my echo. I'm sorry. I hear my echo, but I'm going to keep moving. Um, a jury of your peers find you not guilty, and the judge says, yeah, I don't care. I'm giving you life in prison. What? Let me show you what the judge looked like so you can understand when Black Ice said, don't you stand in front of a judge with 400 years of a grudge and think that he gonna show a nigga love. This is what Black Ice said. I was in college. He came to the campus and he did poetry. And I would never forget him saying those words. Don't you ever think that you're going to stand in front of a judge that's been holding 400 years of a grudge that's going to show a nigga love. I wanted to share this with you because we are under the programming that the system works. We are under the programming that it's all going well. That all you got to do is beat the case. All you got to do is get the jury to say not guilty. The jury said not guilty. And the judge, with his trifling, mean, evil, vile, dirty, malicious, devilish self, still decided, I'm going to sentence these men to life in prison. Do you know what that means? To discard life. These men spent 27 years behind bars for a crime that they were found not guilty of. 27 years. This is the system. This is the system. This is the one that we keep, meeting up at the Oscars for, meeting up at, the NBA finals for. This is the system. This is what we keep meeting up for. This is what we keep doing. Having fun with, and this is the system. So all that to say that I can put in the chat where you can support these men and where you can find ways to donate to their GoFundMe. But most of all, I want you to know, like I've been saying since we've started this whole thing, you want to beat this system, don't let the system beat you. That's our only objective. It is not easy. It's not perfect. It's not, and no one ever said that it will be. But the system is vile, inhumane, inconsistent. And this is one of the reasons that, the Madam President Morning Show wants to continue, because even in this system, you got to play the game. You still got to show up every single day. You got to survive. You got to live. You got to take care of yourself. You got to work. You got to figure out how to make work for you. You have to eat. You have to take care of your children, depressed and all. Even when the men get 27 years in prison, the mother, their parents still have to mourn that the life of their child has been ruined by a system. And let me just say this. I'm going to do a video on Instagram. I'm going to talk about how We always talk about black girl magic and black boy joy. How are you supposed to have joy when you were wrongfully imprisoned and sentenced and had 27 years of your life taken away from you? In the words of Paul, I believe he says, I think myself happy. That's the only way you can survive something so cruel. But, I have to show you this other video, but I'm not going to show you today. I'll show you tomorrow. There's a video that talks about how former slave owners left their slaves to their children. So there's a video that consistently, the video shows that these are the wheels. These books are old. They're, artifacts. They literally have to wear gloves to open these books. They're so old, dusty, frail, fragile. So when they're reading some of the contents inside of the book, people are saying, to my son and to my daughter, I leave my 3 Negro slaves. People say in the book, to my children, to my grandchildren, I leave 7 of my Negro slaves. There was one colonizer in the book that stated that once he died, he said, send my slaves back to Africa. I guess that was his way of saying, they have served their purpose to me. I will not hold them in captivity any longer. But I want to say this before I leave. For those of you who say, oh, well, slavery's over, we don't have to have the conversation about slavery anymore. And I'm not here to fight with you on that. But what I am here to acknowledge, what I am going to acknowledge is that during the years of slavery, there were people, the enslaved Black folks, the colonizers, would, have positions for the slaves. So you an overseer, you a cook, you are everybody picked cotton, even the children. Since they had the motion of being able to pick, a lot of times they would get rid of the children because, of course, the child was not important to them. This is why I'm sensitive when I hear people just discarding children. You know how long the programming had to become to basically for you to not care what grows inside your womb? And man, do you know how long the programming had to happen for you to stick your thing in everything and not have an attachment to that? That's long work. I be talking about putting in that work. This here country, they've been putting in work on your identity for centuries. How you perceive yourself, how you perceive, your interaction with one another. Anyways, here's my point. If a Black man is in prison and he has children, and his children ends up going to prison, living that same life, isn't that not a continuous cycle of enslavement? Back in the day, Black women were breeders. They had women where they would just literally lay on your back and allow men to plant babies on the inside of you. This was your job. This was your job, to breed children, be ignorant, be uneducated, and breed. She'll have a baby by the summer. She'll have a baby by the winter. She'll have a baby. She'll have a baby. She'll have a baby. She will never have a family. She'll have the baby though. She'll have the baby. It will be ready by the summer like a fucking pack of dogs. And then you get the opportunity. This is you a grown woman now with access to reading material, with access to the ability to have esteem. And you marching talking about you want to be a tramp. You want to be a hoe. This where your march is. You let these folks put this kind of nonsense on your back, and you wonder why you are battling depression and oppression all at the same time. You letting these folks putting this stuff on your back, in your head, in your mind, in your womb, everywhere, and calling it facts and period. What? I wasn't trying to go here. But once we get to a place when I get to talking about the position, so a lot of us, we think that we have, like we have some kind of original thought. Oh yeah, 50-50. No, if a man can't this, that ain't no original thought. Men, oh yeah, she gotta cook and she gotta clean, and she ain't feminine enough. I want you to come up with your own original thoughts about who you are. I want you to strip yourself from all the stuff that they told you you were. Their definition of wealth, their definition of manliness, their definition of femininity, their definition is your esteem associated, wrapped up in a ball. I want you to let it go. So you can fight a system that will send innocent men to prison for life for a crime that the jurors said they were not guilty of. But if I get you wrapped up in who's feminine and who's masculine, then I can't get you to focus on who's on the bench to send your son to prison. If I get you wrapped up in enough nonsense, I can't get you. I got you right where I want you. If I get you wrapped up in enough nonsense, you'll never have the strength to fight the real war. A man said that whenever they want to neutralize an army, whenever they want in battle, they said that whenever they want to do something in battle to win, the first thing they want to do in a war is neutralize the army. Neutralize the army. Neutralize the army. Who is the army? The Black man, the Black woman, and the children. Since the beginning of time, we have been neutralized as a unit. I'll take him, I'll take her, I'll discard the child, and now we do it on our own. They don't have to. Oh, don't even get me started on family court. Don't even get me started on child support. Don't even get me started on any of it. They don't have to. But that's how you win a war. I'm going to neutralize the army. That means that I need to, this is the army, the Black man, the Black woman, the Black child as a unit. And I've told you, if you are new here, I'm not talking about over-sexualizing any group. What I'm talking about is we are a unit. We are together. But if I can get you, but what they do, if I can take my best Black this and place them over here, my best Black that and place them over there. Oh, and this is the one that I love here. Just, I don't see color. There's no race. Well, I bet you your Black ass don't want to live over here. I bet you that you'll see color then. When that green starts to fade, you'll start seeing color. Ask OJ. I don't see color. Oh, okay. They don't either. They put under the jail. Couldn't get you for murder, or we gonna get you for something else. But then when we have the wealth, we don't have the mind to combat the system. So the second part of neutralizing an army or winning the war is you neutralizing the army, men, women, and children, and then you interrupt the communication. We want to interrupt the communication because we don't want you all building with one another. This is why men and the women are disconnected and discoursed, and it's okay. The world understands because you are not equipped for the war. And then the children are disconnected from the parents. If someone asked me this before, do you remember a time? And this was a very sensitive thing. Someone asked me, do you remember a time where your parents, one time in your life, where your parents parent you at the same time, co-parenting? And I had to think really hard. My father was killed by the time I was 10. And I have moments where I remember my father, we went places and we did things. And I remember, my mom telling him that my mom told him that I was talking back. Mind you, I had to be like in second grade. I guess I wasn't with the shit. Like, mama, look here. Y'all ain't fooling me, all right? Give me the goddamn cereal. Give me the money. Let me get to school. Like, I guess that's what I was on. But I remember my mother telling my dad that I was talking back. And I had to be about in second grade, no more than third grade at that time. What I was talking back for, I had no idea. But the point that I want to make is, to have to think deep is a testament that togetherness is missing. And when togetherness is missing, I'm tired of this reactionary lifestyle of like, oh man, they killed somebody. Everybody got to come together. Everybody should have been together in the first place. Everybody should have been together in the first place. We don't need no dead bodies to come together. We don't need no kid stabbing another child to have, a judicial fund for to beat this system. We don't need to be reactionary. We could always have our own. Now, let me just be honest with you and say, number one, I'm out of time. Number two, I would like to say that in fairness, I do not believe that we're just these people who we've pulled ourselves up by the bootstraps 100 million times. What happens is you have governmental support of white supremacy. Yeah, I have to say it. I can't sugarcoat it. So when you have the government that's willing to support every infrastructure that is going to be a deficit to your community. So you got drugs in your community. Yeah, the government supports that. Oh yeah, you got education barrier in your community. Yeah, the government supports that. So you have all of these things that are literally piling up against you as a group. You have to have the psychological strength and the mental capacity and the emotional capacity to outdo these things. But if you got the 17-year-old son who don't want to do shit but smoke weed and rap, you can't tell him nothing. And then if you and the ex-husband don't want to work together on nothing, then we don't ever have what's required to win. And what I consider, and then if you get into this stuff in a really deep way, we've always had these different ideas of what exactly everybody wants. So everybody wants something different. Du Bois, W.B. Du Bois, he wanted something different than Booker T. Washington. Bethune-Cookman, she wanted something different. People wanted something different. Dorothy Height, she wanted something different than other people. You know, everybody just have this different construct of what is appropriate, of what's okay and what's acceptable. I don't know if the Asian community has that, the Indian community, they all don't want anything different. They all want this, they have a consistent principle and value system. Even if you have one or a few Indians that think outside of the traditional life of other Indians, they have a foundation of the value system that is still rooted in family and community. Show me your foundation. Show me your foundational system, and I'll tell you everything about where you are. Now, don't think because I talk like this that I don't see how well that some of you all are doing for yourselves. You're doing well. One of the things that concern me right now is the amount of vanity that's associated with our existence right now. I'm sorry, I have the allergies and my nose keep itching and I'm a little bit like congested because the allergies, my eyes are itching too. But I'm about to go, but I want to say this really quickly about the sense of vanity. Vanity is running so deep in the community that this is my theory, and I could be wrong, and I'm okay with it. My theory is if you have so many women and men that's deeply invested in falsehood, then the reality of themselves will be too detrimental for them to sustain. So, for example, the BBL culture, that is, it's working, but a lot of these women are making a lifetime decision for a temporary feeling. So you talking about ass and having a fat ass and you're 27. Yeah, but guess what? That 57-year-old back, them 57-year-old knees is gonna be like, what I'm gonna do with this ass? And then not to mention, I'm afraid that if you all have such a struggle with the mirror of who you are without filter, then you won't survive the reality of who you are at the age of 50. So I believe that that will encourage and influence an extreme level of suicide on a community. Because you talking about your identity, you're willing to risk your life to have ass. You're willing to risk your life to have enhancements. That means that these things have become so important that you won't live when they no longer serve the right purpose. I'm preaching more than y'all want to give me credit for. All right. Don't forget, I'm Madam President with a Z. I forgot to do housekeeping because I was just really enjoying this conversation. But this was brought to you by flynubianmoney.com. And you should really text the word Queens to 87948. This is where you go when you want to grow and when you want to get your money up. All right. It is important. Also, you should follow me on social media. I am one Madam President on all social media platforms, including TikTok. I can't believe I'm on TikTok. I'm wore out with all of this shit. You know, I'm 40 years old this year. I like social media. I like, learning and talking. I don't know how much I have in me to squeeze and to get more people interested in hearing from me. I just don't know. I don't know how. I don't know. I appreciate you all. I will see you tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much. Have a good day.